I will do the problem challenge plus minus from HackerRank. We are given an array of integer values, and they can be positive, negative, or zero. And we are asked to print the ratio of positive, negative, and zeros. So this problem, if you know how to traverse an array and if you know how to keep track of a running sum, you will be able to solve with those concepts. So the approach I'm going to use is basically simple. We're going to keep track of number of positive numbers in an array, number of negative ones, and then we can calculate the zero. So we don't need an array for that because it's going to be the positive plus negative, and then you subtract the total number of elements because we are given, right? Because array, for example, this one n would be 5. So at the end, we have to compute the ratio. So we're gonna leave the computation of the ratio for the end. We don't have to do that as we go. So that could be for the end. And then we got to format to 6 decimal places here. I'm gonna use the Java language to do this problem. Okay, so let's go right-hand side. I'm gonna go to the plus minus method here. And first thing I'm gonna do is establish variables to keep track of the sums of the elements. So I'm gonna make an integer variable that I'll call positive count to keep track of the positive number count. I initialize to 0. Then I'll do the same for negative. Int negative count equals 0. And then we're gonna traverse the array. So I'm gonna make a for loop with initializer int I equals 0. And then as long as the I is less than ARR, which is the list of integer, in that case, because it's a list, we gotta use dot size parentheses to get the number of elements. And then we're gonna do I plus plus to increment, so the loop keeps going till the end of the array. Now here we're gonna check, okay, so we got array. So to get the element at a specified index, for the case of list, in Java we can do .get, and then call this function of the index I, and that will give you the element at the current index. So we're gonna check if that, which should be an integer, okay, let me put in a variable because it's better for us to do the comparison. Because you know there's a wrapper class there, integer, so be careful the reference comparison. So let me put a variable here, int, and I'll call the array element. So that's going to be cast to int there. So we got if that, and then we can use the greater than here. If that is positive, that is greater than 0, we can go ahead and increase the positive count. So I can say positive count plus plus. And then else, if the array element is less than 0, that is negative, we're going to increase the negative count. And like I said before, we don't care about the zeros because we can compute from subtracting the total number of elements in the array. The positive and negative will be out, so we get a number of zeros. Okay, so that should give us the positive and negative count as we finish the loop outside here. This is where we have to print. So this question doesn't ask us to return anything, so it's void. So we have to print it to the console or to the screen. So we can use system.out.println. But then we gotta figure out how to format the decimal places. So there's different ways. I'm using Java, so there's different ways to do that. I'll do the decimal format way, which is making an object of the class decimal format. So I'm gonna do decimal format type here. And I'll just call it df for short. And then that's gonna be a new decimal format constructor here. Call to that. So we're gonna give it a pattern with the as a string, and that's gonna be hash dot, and then because they want 6 decimal places in the requirements here, we're going to put 6 hashes. So 3 plus 3, so we got 6 hashes written after the dot. This is just like the pattern that they want you to specify, so they know that they can format to 6 decimal places. And then we can use df.format method. In the println, I can do df.format the number. So in this case, if you want to put the ratios outside as a variable, you can do that. So let's do for the positive one. So you would take the positive count, which is an integer. Then you have to divide by the number of elements in the array, which is array dot size parentheses. Now, if you have to be careful here because in Java this is like a int, and that's an int, so it's going to give you integer division. So what you want to do is cast to a double, so you can use parentheses double before the positive count, so it's cast, so automatically the whole expression will be double, because that's what's expected for the the division, the values we're going to do. Anyway, so we got that. So let's call a double positive ratio equals, and then you can put in the positive ratio here variable to the format function. So that will do the job of putting the 6 decimal places as a string. And then you can repeat the same thing for the others. You can do the negative ratio. It's going to be the negative count out of all the elements in the array. By the way, I forgot a semicolon here. And then to make sure this is a right, it's going to give us a like a fractional response. Let's cast the negative count to double. So the whole thing will be double. And then you can finally system.out.println, println, df.format method with that negative ratio. And then finally now for the 0, let's do double 0 ratio. That's going to be, so we take the number of elements in the array, right? Array.size. You subtract the positive count, you subtract the negative count, and that's going to give a number of 0. So then you take all the whole thing, divide by, place parentheses around it to make sure the precedence, the number of elements. And to make sure everything is okay, like we said, we have to cast any one of these to double. So we can put a double here before array.size. Make sure that works. And then finally we system.out. Oops, not errors, out. Println the df.format 0 ratio. And that's care of it. Make sure all the semicolons are in place. Let's test it out. Click run code. And there you go. You see the output here. In this example, we got -4, -9, so it's 2 out of 6. That's like 1/3, which is like 0.33. So you can see the negative count in the second line. And then for the positive, be 1, 2, 3. So 3 out of 6, which is half. So we got 0.5. And then we got the, oh, actually, this should have been formatted with the zeros there, right? So you might want to tweak something about the decimal format, but it still works the same way for the solution. Anyway, we got that 0 is just 1 out of 6, which is this one, now line 3. Let me show you how you can fix the zeros if you're really strict about showing the explicit zeros to the right-hand side. So here in the formatting pattern for the decimal format, replace the hashes with zeros. So 6 zeros there. And I think that should take care of it. There you go, Lee. Look here, there's explicit zeros, which should match. Oh, notice there's a no 0 on the left-hand side. And that's, I think you gotta put a 0 too in the hash to the left of the decimal place. And there you go. Finally, we got the right format, same as matching the expected. Hey, thank you for watching. If you like this content, please consider making a donation so I can keep doing this for you. I'd really appreciate that if you could donate. All right. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.